the podcast where music meets sports. I'm Gannon Hanevold, and you're listening to What's the Score? All right, welcome to What's the Score? I'm Gannon Hanevold, your host, and this is the podcast where music and sports collide. And we've got the perfect special guest for that topic today. It's Amontá Jones, a musician straight out of Arizona State University. Amontá, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just finished my spaghetti. I'm watching the game. I'm trying to make the most out of this NBA return.
Hey, I love to hear it, man. We're definitely going to get into some NBA talk later. I know you love basketball. I love basketball. So we got to talk about that for sure. But I think we'll jump right into talking about music because that's why we got you here.
Yes.
You're a musician. Yes. You're repping ASU. You're repping Arizona. What was that like for you getting started in the music business? Because it's a tough place to start, but you're there now.
So getting started with music, it's tough. It's tough because you don't have, a lot of people have this mindset that, if you just drop a song, or a hopeful mindset, you drop a song, it's going to blow up. It's easy. But, once you actually get into the process of what the artists have to go through, like the industry people have to go through, you realize it's not as easy as it seems. And you have more respect for the top dogs and the top people in there. So for me, a lot of it was just, man, I gotta get my music out to my friends. I gotta connect and let people know I'm making music. So if I can start with 10 people liking my music and they like it enough to share it with another 10 people, then I'll grow that way. So that's the biggest struggle is just getting the music heard right now, and especially at the beginning.
Definitely. I know it's very important to a lot of musicians that you have, that solid foundation from the start. You got to have some people on your side, and you've got that because you've got this collective of yours, 0 Degrees, and you guys ended up winning ASU's Battle of the Bands, which is a huge accomplishment. What was that like, that whole Battle of the Bands experience?
Man, Battle of the Bands, that was a very, very fun experience for me personally, and I know for the group, because we all came together freshman year, and we started making music. We had an idea, and to see that actually come through and us succeed and compete against other people and actually see our work pay off, that was like such a satisfying. We were at a high, and then the Corona stuff comes in and we kind of lost momentum, but we'll find a way, we'll bounce back. But one in Battle of the Bands was just fun. We learned a lot about ourselves, and we learned a lot about how to work together and how to make sure we're all on the same page, and really just knowing everybody's strengths and how to communicate. I try to be a leader in the group, so I was trying to figure out how to communicate with everybody because not everybody could be talked to the same way. So that was a big thing. But we gained a lot of fans. We gained a lot of clout from it. So that was probably one of the best experiences of my life for sure.
Well, the big prize from that is you guys got to open up for Quinn 92 in front of probably close to 1,000 fans. I was there in the front row, and I got to see that up close and personal. And so that was quite the experience, I'm sure, for you guys. Is that the biggest show that you guys have done?
Yeah, that's the biggest show any of us have done combined. Like that's the peak right now. We want to obviously our goal is to get back to that point. But yeah, that was a lot of people. We enjoyed it to the fullest. We did a lot of a lot of preparing for it. We trying to make sure we walk through, rehearse, and make sure everything was right. But no, we definitely, once we got a taste of that, we want to do it again. So we're hungry for our next show to match that.
That's awesome to hear. I know that concert, it came about a month before everything got shut down because of coronavirus. So it was probably a great, grand finale to this, at least, school year. But now I'm sure everything's changed. You're stuck. Some people are quarantined. I'm not sure how you're handling the pandemic, but how has that changed the creative process for you as a musician?
I try to be a positive person to see the best out of every situation. And for me, this quarantine and kind of being isolated, I kind of see it as a way to be alone with my thoughts and to me to tap into my true artistry and my emotions, because I feel like the best music is made whenever your emotions are at its highest levels. So to me, I see beauty in it because now I can have classes online. I don't have to go to class, and then I can just focus on music, do what I got to do, just take more time and take my time. Um, Creating. So I like it. I just try to find the beauty in everything. So I see this as a boost, and um it's giving us time. It's giving me time to like plan things out once everything gets back rolling the way it is.
Definitely. I know you had a song come out in February, I believe it was All Night. I think came out in February, and I've seen you promoting that all over social media. And I follow you on Twitter. I see you're always setting goals for I'm trying to reach a certain amount of followers on TikTok or on Instagram or on Twitter. How important is that promotional side of things, and how much have you learned from being a student and a musician at the same time about that process of being a promoter as well as a musician?
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, the thing people don't realize when you're an independent artist, you don't have a label behind you. You have to promote it. You have to send out the links. You have to make sure people see it, and you have to, create the cover art, create the beat, create this, do that, do that. You got to do a lot of it. You're just a one man team, really, and it's really just taught me how I'm still learning, honestly. I mean, I don't have it down. I don't think anybody, not even the top people, have it down to the perfect formula. But I'm still learning. I found some things work, but a lot of it's timing. One thing I've learned, a lot of it's timing. Um, not every song that's great catches fire like as quick or does as good as the last single. So it's really about timing and what the mood is around. I would say around the nation. If people are like in a partying mood, then they'll probably listen to a party song. But right now, I mean, I'm kind of going off topic right here, but another thing is I kind of put a pause on with the quarantine stuff. I put a pause on releasing music as frequently because I didn't feel like, especially with the excuse me, especially with the Black Lives Matter, that movement going on, and the pandemic. It just felt like the country was just at a low time. So I didn't feel like I didn't feel comfortable releasing or putting music out there and telling people, hey, go check out my song whenever there's bigger things to focus on. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I kind of wait. But I do have some music on the way. But back to your original question, promoting is tough, but I'm learning that if you have a dedicated following, no matter what the number is, they're gonna show their friends and they're gonna help promote it, and that's the best promotion whenever they show their friends. Because I learned if I show someone my song, they're gonna listen to it and they'll be like, okay, or they might not even listen to it. But if say your friend is like, yo, you got to check out Amonte's new song, you're like 10 times more likely to listen to that, and you're gonna most likely like it. So if I can just get people to do that, then that's what I see work the most.
Yeah, you actually, I know you said you were going off topic, but that's an important thing to talk about as well. This year is different than any other year in terms of being in any profession, let alone music. And you've seen, these high A-list rappers, whether it's J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar, like, they're out protesting at these rallies, and they're trying to use their voice for a certain cause, trying to make sure they use their platform in the right way. Is that something you hope to do someday if you can build up enough of a following? Do you want to be someone who can be a voice of social justice and that kind of thing?
Yes, yes, I do. I've always told myself like if I get a certain or like I want to be a role model. I do I want to be someone like a kid can look up to and get inspired to or inspired by. But the one thing that's tricky, I don't want people to think I know everything or I'm doing everything right, because a lot of times people tend to overrate. I think J. Cole went through this. He said it himself. He was like, people are looking at me like I'm the golden child. Like, I'm not saying I have everything figured out, but I'm trying to sit back and observe and figure out what the right move is, you know. But I do want to make a difference, and I do want to, make my voice heard when I do have the platform too. So, yes.
That's a great point. Like you said, J. Cole, I think that a lot of that came out on his Snow on the Bluff song that came out a few months ago. A lot of that idea, where you're trying to listen more than you speak. And so it is kind of a fine line you have to walk. And this has been, a totally bizarre year. You've got to fight with quarantine, and then you've got, all of the protests that are going on out there, and it's an election year and everyone's all stressed out. But it's crazy. This year has felt like 10 years. It really has. And I think it really has, man. It's crazy to think about how it all started, and that's where I'm gonna go off of, because in January it seemed like we had hit rock bottom for 2020, but we were just getting started, and that was when Kobe passed away. And I know you're a Lakers fan. What did the Mamba mentality mean to you as a Lakers fan growing up alongside Kobe Bryant in his prime? Like what did Kobe do to influence you as a person?
Man, Kobe, I mean, he did a lot. He did a lot um, without even knowing it. He focused. He taught me to just, if you want something, you can get it. You just gotta put in the work. Like, people don't realize you can make things happen. Um, a lot of people just want to sit around and find excuses, and he's more like, okay, I'm gonna work and aim to be the best and do the best I can. And if I fall short, it's not bad, because I did the best I could. I reached my potential. I passed with the expectations. So, you know, Kobe was just someone, I mean, I'm still look up to, and it's just tough to see him go out that way, especially with his daughter and everybody else in the crash. I just he taught me how to just lock in. And I'm still inspired to him, and I will always be inspired by him. um and yeah, he's just inspired. He's showing me the power of inspiration, and at the end of my life, I want to make sure I have an impact that he had, or just something. If I can get half of the impact that he had, just off of inspiration and changing people's lives, indirectly and directly, then I'll be happy. I feel like I reached my purpose. I fulfilled my purpose.
Yeah, I'm sure a legacy. I mean, that's the top thing that a lot of people want, especially if you're in the music field. It's all about, you want to leave your mark. And I know Kobe was a guy that did that. That was a pretty traumatic day for anyone, even if they weren't a sports fan. I think that was one of those, you remember where you were when you found out kind of moments, and it was eerie for sure. And then to have the NBA get canceled a month later, it was just boom, boom, right back to back for basketball fans for sure. But I can see you got basketball in the background right now. So we got some positive news. The Jazz and Pelicans are playing as we're recording this, and I know the Lakers have got a big game later tonight. They're trying to they're trying to go defend that Kobe legacy. It's how are you feeling about LeBron and the Lakers going into this playoffs?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. When it comes to the Lakers, when it comes to LeBron, they have a lot of people overlook this. They have a lot of experience on the team. It's not a bunch of rookies. They have people who've been in playoff, people who've been in final, like the finals experience. Even though JaVale McGee's not a top player, elite, that final experience in the being in the championship, going far in the playoffs, they know what it takes to be in a deep run. When JaVale was with Golden State, LeBron, he went on the 9 consecutive finals appearances and stuff, or 8, 9 or 8. And then even though we lost Rondo was, I mean, he's been on teams, playoff teams, like with the Celtics and stuff. So I'm not worried about it. The only thing I'm worried about is the stuff we can't control, which is like some injuries, or someone getting sick. So I mean, that's the main thing I'm scared about, if anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, this is
Because
it. This is a weird year.
another, yeah, another thing is like, if you get hurt and you're out for a couple of weeks, that could be a whole series, the rest of the series. And yeah, so like with Rondo, he's out for like 6 weeks, I think, but that's like he can't come back. Like the season probably pretty much over by then.
Yeah, definitely, especially because they're in the bubble right now. So if they have to leave the bubble for any reason, it's a whole complicated process getting back. You've seen that with a couple guys so far, Zion Williamson, one of those. And so the Lakers, I mean, they've got it tough. They're coming out of the Western Conference too, which is just totally stacked. You've got the Clippers, you've got the Jazz who have had a good year. The Thunder have kind of been an underdog team this season. The Rockets obviously have got James Harden. You've got all these really, really talented stars in the West. Is there a certain team that you're the most afraid of as a Lakers fan?
I think it will always be the Clippers just because of their defense, and it's hard to have an off defensive night. You can have nights. You've seen the Warriors in the past where shots aren't falling, like they're just missing everything. But defense, that's just based off of effort, really. So I'm pretty sure Patrick Beverly can have 4 good games, and Kawhi, he's always locking up. Defensive Player of the Year candidates. And just they're just so deep. They're deep too. So it's like their bench. A lot of them could be starters on other teams. So it's just that's a team I always look. If we can get past them, I'm very confident. That's probably the biggest challenge is the Clippers.
We'll get a taste of that a little bit tonight. The Lakers play the Clippers on TNT tonight. It's the second game back. Going to be a real fun game. I'll be tuning in for sure. We talked about 2020 and how much of a roller coaster it's been. And one of the biggest memories I think a lot of people have taken away is The Last Dance. You had the Michael Jordan documentary. And I think that did a lot for bringing his legacy into, our generation that didn't grow up with him. Do you think, did you watch that documentary?
Yes, I watched all 10 episodes. Once they canceled the NBA season, I was looking for something to watch. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I was glued to the TV.
Did that change? I'm sure since I don't know if you're a devout Lakers fan enough to call LeBron the GOAT, but what's your position on the GOAT discussion?
Uh, okay. I have my personal goat is Kobe, just because of I watched him. That's my personal goat, and uh, that's who inspires me. So that's my personal goal. But overall, I feel like Michael, he earned it. After watching that documentary, a lot of his accomplishments just get like swept under the rug. Like you hear the 6 rings and stuff, but when you see like the slam dunk contest, defensive player of the years, like and the MVPs and stuff like that, it's just when you actually see it like all together, it's like, yo, like I see why everybody is calling him the GOAT and why everybody wants to be like Mike and why everybody's so crazy. But no, I still feel like LeBron. To me, I'm not. Ever since Kobe passed away, I just stopped. I stopped like comparing really as much. But I feel like those three, LeBron, Kobe, and Mike. I feel like you can't go if you have one of those as your GOAT. I can't disagree with you. I feel like they all in their own way, they did something to where they were the greatest of all time. They all can do something the other person couldn't do.
Yeah, I totally get that. I actually like that you bring up, Kobe as a personal GOAT because I get into these discussions with friends all the time about, who are the 5 greatest players in NBA history, and I think Kobe's a guy that gets overlooked a lot, and people forget, he won 5 rings. He was an offensive star, but then he had the defensive. He was on the all defensive team throughout his whole career, and so he could do it on both sides of the floor for sure. And Jordan's a guy that did that in his career as well. LeBron, obviously, he's going to be going for that ring this year. They're the favorites right now. If you're looking at Vegas odds, how many more rings do you think it takes for LeBron to be able to reach that Kobe or Jordan level of legacy?
I think he's already there. I think he's already there personally, just off of what he's done. But if he really wants to really take, maybe possibly like put some pressure, I feel like 2 more rings will definitely. If he gets 5, he has 3 right now. One more ring, everybody's like, yeah, he's established, for sure. But if he gets one more after that, definitely, yeah, people are gonna swing. I feel like the movement's gonna swing. Because it's not. If you look at LeBron, it's just how long he's been, how consistent he is. You know, when you look at goats, they're the greatest of all time. It's not they were great one year. You know, they had a crazy year. It's the fact that they come back year after year. You look at like Tom Brady. I don't know if you're a Tom Brady fan or anything, but I respect greatness. I always do because I want to do greatness in my life. So I always study. It's like if you look at Tom Brady every year, they come back, come back. If you look at LeBron, he was in the finals like every year for like almost a decade. You know, and if you can do it multiple times, that's what makes you the next level. That's what makes you elite. You know. Did I answer the question? I forgot. I forgot what the question. Oh
No, you,
yeah, you said how many rings?
yeah,
Okay.
you said two more puts the pressure on, and
Yeah, yeah,
I like that you bring up Tom Brady because he's a guy who I think for a lot of football fans is like the undisputed greatest of all time because of what you said, his consistency. I mean, he's been around for about 20 years almost now, and he's been pretty consistently into at least the Final Four in the NFL, which is a hard thing to do. Do you think for you as a musician is that consistency as important in your field as it is in sports?
yes. I mean, my biggest inspiration for music is Drake and the fact that he's the artist of the decade. You know, he has multiple number ones. He's never satisfied with just one hit. You know, obviously throughout his whole career, whether you like rap or pop or whatever, he's been on the radio. You know who he is. Um, you know him, and I mean Taylor Swift too. Like you can joke and clown about Taylor Swift, but um, she's holding her own. She always has that one hit of the year. You know, it's always in discussion. So um, as a music, as an artist, that's what I want to do. You know, the first hit I feel like for me would be the hardest, but once I get my name out there, then I feel like I can adjust because I spent a lot of time studying like music, and I feel like I can feel it, and I have confidence in my ability. But it's just getting that first one and getting known. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sometimes it's hard to get started, but I think once you get your foot in the door, it's all about what that second step is. And you mentioned Drake. Drake did that in just a phenomenal way. You know, he gets his foot in the door in the late 2000s with a couple of hits. You got Forever and Best I Ever Had, and suddenly everyone knows Drake's name, and then he just follows it up back to back to back with albums that are consistently all over the radio. Do you have a favorite Drake album?
I think my personal favorite is More Life, just because I feel like albums and music, it's like a bookmark in what's going on in your life. So your favorite album is gonna have to do with something. It's a screenshot of what's happening in your life. So if Drake drops an album, in 20, the More Life for me, that was 2017. I was in Costa Rica. I was on spring break. You know, I was living life. I was enjoying where I was, and I was, it just had a big part of my life. So that's my personal. But I think his best is Take Care for sure. I think his best is Take Care if we're talking if we're hit. But my favorite has got to be More Life. So yeah,
I'm gonna agree with you on the Take Care point. I think that I do agree
yes,
that's his most consistent album for sure. But I have a pretty unpopular personal favorite Drake album. We actually talked about I talked about with my last guest on this show. We talked about a lot of Drake, and my personal favorite is Scorpion, and
Scorpion.
that's a pretty unpopular
Yes,
Drake choice.
yes,
But like you said, it's all about where it takes you to
mm,
a time in your life. And I think about that summer 2018, that
yeah,
album was just getting like played like crazy in all my
yes.
playlists. And I think Scorpion, whether it's Emotionless, I think is a song that a lot of people underestimate. And he's got so many hits on that album. And so I know
Listen,
it.
the hits he has on there, you have Nice for What, Non-Stop, In My Feelings, God's Plan, which went diamond, which is 10 times platinum. You have, I'm missing another one, but you had the, dang, I'm tripping. But he has a lot on there, a lot. I'm upset if you want to count that as a hit, but a lot. A lot of people would just die to have, a lot of artists would just die to have one of those songs.
Yeah, I think that's you kind of mentioned it earlier. Everyone knows Drake. because of all those hits. You know, like I think about like my parents are definitely not into that genre of music, but like even they know the words of God's plan. Like it was just everywhere. And so I think he's got such a large reach for sure. And then it's all about. I'm sure he'll have another few great albums in the tank. That's for sure. Do you have do you have any favorites from this year? That I know he had the Darkland demo tapes that came out, but outside of that, do you have any other artists that you think are putting out great music this year?
My top two people that I'm listening to a lot is Roddy Rich and Little Baby. Like they're the new wave. They're the the new generation, I feel. And Roddy Rich really has got my ear, and I'm addicted to him in a way because uh, he's just I love his melodies and stuff, and how he just keeps it entertaining. You know, your ear, he constantly keeps it intrigued. You know, so I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about like the new age of rap and the old rap. There's people who are into more of the guys who were big in the 2000s and
Lil
in the
Wayne,
late 90s.
Kanye,
Yeah, exactly. And then there's people who are more into the newer stuff, whether it be Lil Baby, Roddy Rich, Travis Scott. You've got guys in that more
yeah,
trap category. What?
Playboy Cardi,
Yep, for sure. Lil Uzi Vert.
yeah,
A lot of
them,
guys that can be in that
yeah.
conversation. How do you think both of those genres, because they're almost completely different sounds, if you look at the rappers of the 2000s versus the late 2010s, how do you think those two sounds can bring out different feelings?
A lot of and a lot of the older stuff, the 2000s artists, they're more lyrical. Like I would say, they're more they know how to word what they're feeling great. Like they're experts at that. Like we all have that feeling inside of us. We just don't know how to say it. So Drake, Lil Wayne, Eminem, whoever you want to say, Kanye, they just come by and they create a catchy song expressing exactly how you feel. You just never knew how to say it. So then you go to this year's or like the next generation, which is what we're in right now, with Lil Uzi, Playboy Cardi, Little Baby, the Baby. They're more they're more about feeling. They're both about feeling, but they're more about vibes, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I feel like it's more the feeling of the beat and the melodies and stuff. Like, because some of the lyrics are they're trash. They can be trash sometimes. Um, but it doesn't matter. That's something I'm studying. Is like people don't really care what you say. It's just how you deliver it. Like the delivery. If it's catchy, you can have people chanting anything. If you look at Lil Pump's, I love it. I don't know if you know that song,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, that was very popular, and that's not a something you would expect a top song to have. So yeah, that's just like an example for me.
Definitely. You mentioned a lot of guys who, like you said, can bring out a certain vibe, whether it's Lil Uzi Vert or Lil
Yeah,
Baby or people from the older generation. They can bring out a certain feeling in the way that they have, their production or it is the lyrics or their melodies they're able to put together. But let's talk about let's bring it back full circle here. Talk about Amontá Jones again. I know
yes
you've got
sir.
a I know you've got some songs out. If someone's listening right now and they don't know anything about Amontá Jones, what song would you point them towards? Say, hey, this is what you're getting out of me if you listen to this song.
Okay, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because all right, I'm gonna go. I mean, my number one stream song is Grind, and that's like a very like motivational workout, like hardcore, like if you're trying to get in that mood, you're trying to grind towards something, you're working hard towards something. That's my number one stream song. But my fan favorite, like all my friends talk about, is Motivated. So that's more of like a party song, like a fun little party vibe song. So I would go with that. But that's the thing about me is like I want to be all around the board. I want to have every emotion because I just want to tap into every type of music there is to make. So I'm working on being diverse as an artist and improving my sound and expanding my sound. So be on the lookout. I don't want you to expect the same thing from me every time. I want to grow.
That's great to hear, and I appreciate you coming on the show, man. If you're
Oh yeah,
if you guys are listening, make sure to check out Amontá Jones. I know you're on all streaming platforms pretty much. I know you're on
yes sir.
Spotify, Apple Music, all of the above. Check him out on
It's
Twitter.
spelled it's spelled Amonta.
Amonta Jones. I'm pretty sure that's your Twitter handle, right? Is it just Amontá Jones?
Twitter's Amonte05, but everything else is Amonte_Jones.
Awesome. Well, if you haven't heard of Amontá Jones, I recommend you check him out, especially if you're a ASU student. He's repping the Sun Devils in the hip hop business for sure. Amontá, thank you for coming on the show, and I'll be watching those Lakers tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. And thank you for the interview for real. This is giving me, I don't care if one person hears this, it's giving me exposure. So I got you down the road. If things blow up, you need another interview, I got you.
That's great to hear.